Hello, it's Tom from Blacktoe Studio, and here we are at last with another Apocalypse game. We're going a little bit all out here, and as you can see on the table in front of you, we have a rather large amount of Imperial units. 3 Space Marine legions represented here. We have the Black Templars, Ultramarines, and the Space Wolves. So, we're not going to go into a heavy amount of detail here because that's going to basically make this video about 2 hours long. So starting with myself, who is commanding the Black Templar contingent here, I'll start there and then we'll work on through the rest of them. So, as you roll onto the left hand side of the board here, it would not be a Black Templar army without Helbrecht here commanding it. He is joined by an Emperor's Champion, Grimoldus, and a chaplain, a Primaris chaplain on a bike. We then have a fairly hefty troop contingent here. We've got 2 Firstborn Crusader units just down here. They are obviously all sporting chainswords, power fists, and melter guns. We then have a few. We have a couple of an intercessor standard unit here with standard auto bolt rifles, and then we have 2 squads of assault intercessors, just filling out that brigade's 6 troop slot. Yes, it is a brigade because we do have a standard Crusader squad here as well with a plasma cannon. And then where do we go next? Well, I guess we'll go to the next row back, which is the Dreadnought. So we have 4 Dreadnoughts representing here. So we have an Ironclad, a Redemptor, a Leviathan, and a Derdeo. That has the alias on the top there. I know some people run it with the shields, but I like the extra missiles. And if we swing over to the front portion of the board here, we have a few bike units. We've got 2 Outrider units. We have a standard bike unit and some Terminators here as well, or just the Assault Term. We've got 10 Assault Terminators, half with hammers, half with lightning claws. Of course, we've got some Blade Guard veterans who are going to be rocking up in the Impulsor there. A couple of squads of Eradicators. As we switch to the back here, we've got 3 Vindicators. One is the Laser Destroyer variant. We then also have a Spartan in the backfield here, ready to hopefully transport one of the Crusader squads to glory. And then rounding out the last couple of units, we have 2 Storm Talons, which I never ever play, but we are obviously playing today because this is the time when you get all those models out that you very rarely play with, and no more so than the Warhound Titan here, the Lucius pattern one there, which has obviously the plasma blast gun and the turbo destroyer. Destructor. I get confused, we shall see. I'm going to start at the back here, so Matt, if you want to just interject here where you can with your models, because you are playing the Ultramarines, of course.
I am indeed, yes.
So I guess this guy down here is leading it, is he?
Yep. Gilman's leading the force today.
Lovely, and he's got a couple of other little HQ friends here.
Yeah, we've got Calgar and Tiggy.
Excellent.
We've got a chaplain, a couple of lieutenants, another captain, apothecary.
Is that a cheeky tech marine there as well?
Yes, there is a tech marine snuck in.
Lovely.
We've then got 6 squads of 5 intercessors.
Oh, nice, excellent.
3 squads of 5 infiltrators.
That's
those are the ones.
Yeah, cool. And we'll just go from left to right. Yeah. So what we've got there in the middle there.
That's more intercessors.
More intercessors and
assault intercessors.
Assault intercessors, and then I think we'll just go straight behind them to these lovely little jump troops.
Yeah, we've got a selection of Inceptors and what are the big guns? I never remember.
Sure, I've actually forgotten myself.
That's the one, suppressors.
So Dave just chirping in there. He's just suppressors. We've then got some aggressors.
And Eradicators.
Some lovely Eradicators. And then we're coming to the slightly more heavier section. So we've got
2 Predators.
2 Predators. So we've got one there, and then in between them we have a
Sikaran.
Yeah, and then
2 Leviathans.
Yeah. 2
Redemptors. Yeah. And 2 Venerable Dreads.
Beautiful. And then the even bigger armour section at the back here. So starting on the right there, we've got a Spartan.
We've got a Typhon.
Yeah.
We've got a Fellblade. We've got a Falchion. And then a Cerberus.
So yeah, we've got a fair bit of firepower on the back line for the Marines here. However, obviously the Space Wolves are going to be slightly more front facing. So Dave, I think we'll start at your front down here. So your Spatial Force, is this your, down here, isn't he? Is your Warlord, isn't he?
Yeah, the Wolf Priest on bike will be my Warlord.
Oh, sorry, Wolf Priest on bike there.
Yeah.
So that's him, and then he is joined with a couple of other HQs here. So we've got...
Yeah, on the far right, so we've got a Battle Leader on Thunderwolf, and then we've got a Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf.
Excellent.
Then we got your normal Battle Leader and also a Wolf Lord on foot.
Excellent.
Then we got a Iron Priest and 2 Librarians.
Nice, filling out those slots there. And then I think three. Let's start off over here on this left hand
Right.
side. So yeah.
Yeah, so we've got one squad of Blood Claws,
Uh-huh.
and then if we pan across, yeah, got another squad of Blood Claws with two squads of Incursors behind.
Beautiful. And then I think that kind of concludes your troops, is it? Or-
No, I've got two squads.
Oh, sorry.
Assaulted.
Pardon me. There's down there, aren't
Yeah,
they?
of assault
So there's
Incursors.
one there and there, and then behind them.
We start to go into the elite. So we've got
Yeah.
three squads of 7-man Wolf Guard.
Oh, beautiful. Excellent. Yeah. And then
And then
we can just hop back over here.
yeah,
Yeah, sure.
we have three squads of Wolfen.
I think they're 5-man squads each.
5-man squad,
Yeah.
yeah. Claws on the sergeants, and then
Very
hammers and
nice.
shields on the rest. In the middle, we have a squad of 8 Terminators.
Yep.
Then we go into some firepower. So we've got a squad of long fangs with grav cannons. Also paid for the Terminator pack leader just to give them some
Bit of protection.
durability. And then on the far right, we have a pack of 5 Fenrisian wolves.
Never leave home without them, right?
No,
No. They're going to be forgotten about, and they're going to win the game.
They'll absorb some spice, maybe. Then we've got 2 squads of Eradicators.
Lovely. And then I think we'll carry on to the left in the middle here. We've
Yeah,
got-
so we've got 3 Wolf and Dreadnoughts, all armed with the Grey Axes and Blizzard Shields. We've got 3 Redemptors, all the same loadout, so the Plasma and then all the other bells and whistles.
Excellent. We've got a
We've
singular.
got 1 Relic Contemptor with quad las cannons and missiles.
Lovely.
And then the very last units, we've got 2 squads of Thunderwolf Cavalry, all with hammers and shields.
Now that is awesome. So obviously that concludes the list of the armies. However, just to give you a slight insight, this is 20,000 points for our side because we are doing a apocalypse game of 40,000. Because obviously it is Warhammer 40k is kind of what everyone tags this game as, so we thought it'd be an appropriate number. We have done one before over the same size, but we've kind of very much consolidated on what type of game we're having. So obviously we are playing the Imperial side, and there will be a rather chaotic side coming up shortly. However, just before I hand over to that next video, I'm just going to quickly pan over this selection of models here. So just have a little enjoyment as you have a look at what everyone has brought to the table.
Right, so here we are. We have got the Chaos Force, which is absolutely massive and a beautiful sight to behold. So we've got Death Guard, we've got World Eaters, we've got Noble Demons. We come down here, we've got Thousand Suns, we've got Word Bearers, we've got Chaos Knights, and of course we've got a Titan. So we're not going to go into too much detail what we've got here because it could take all day. However, what we will do is go through each unit. So what we've got, each player will go through a little bit what I have. So we're going to start over here straight away with Gavin and his 1,000 Sun contingent. So Gavin's got 2,000 points of 1,000 Suns. You want to start over on the right here, Gavin? What do we have here?
So I've got a Mortal Vortex Beast.
Yep.
I've got 2 Hell Brutes, 1 combat, 1 shooting.
Yep.
I've got a combat Leviathan.
Very nice.
I've got 2 squads of 10 Rubiks just down in front.
Yep.
An Infernal Master.
Yep. Very nice.
I've got a squad of 10 Zangors.
Very good.
I've got
The old Mauler
a
thing.
Wall of Fame.
Yeah. With tendrils.
Tendrils. I've got two squads of 5 Scarabot Terminators.
Very nice, a nice little 2,000 point contingent there. Then we'll move along. Vicky has brought the Eater of Worlds. So what have we got? Starting over here with troop choices here, Vic.
I've got 4 squads of Berserkers.
Four squads.
Yeah, all but 8.
Nice, very good, very fluffy. And then behind here we've got 3.
3 Chaos Rhinos with their Havoc launchers.
Yep, very cool. And then behind that we have.
I've got 2 Defilers.
Yep,
And then we have got the Mordor
yep,
Venom Crawler.
yep,
My Warlord there, so that's the Lord Discordant.
yep, very nice.
It's more HQ, so I have a Demon Prince with wings.
Yep,
Khan the Betrayer
of course.
has to be in it.
Yep,
Wolfsmith.
yep,
Have a Terminator Lord.
yep, very nice.
And I have some Red Butcher Terminators.
Oh, yep, that's
So it's
it.
down here.
Very nice. More Terminators, what we
And
need.
I also have Scully.
Yes, Lord of Skulls is making an appearance in this battle. Very nice. Right, so now we move on to the Demon and Death Guard contingent. So, Darryl, do you want to run through who we got right at the front here? Who have you painted
So
up
we
for
have
this?
The Dark Master himself, Bellical. Looking forward to giving him a try. It's his first debut game for me.
Oh, okay. Let's hope New Model Syndrome doesn't kick in with him.
I hope not. And then we have also Mortarion, Primarch of the Death Guard Legion. So 2 big models for me. Then, so go through the kind of smaller bits behind them.
Yep.
In that kind of mass of infantry, we've got 2 squads of Poxwalkers.
Okay, so they're the slightly lighter coloured guys here in
Yeah.
their lab coats and jumpsuits.
Absolutely. Then we've got 3 squads of Plague Bearers in total. You can see 2 there in
Yep.
the camera.
And another one over here.
See the other one over here.
Okay, who's leading these Plague Bearers down there?
So that is a Pox Bringer.
Very nice. Okay, and then we've got 2 big guys here.
Yeah, so 2 Great Unclean ones. I decided to bust out the old 4-yard model. It just doesn't get you much use these days.
There we go.
So he will be a Great Unclean one for today's battle.
Very cool. And then down here we've got a mini, an old school Bellicor.
Yeah,
which
so I
is-
use him as a Demon Prince now, and that is an axe that he's wielding with his wings, of course.
Very nice. Then we move along here down to some Death Guard. So
Yep, so
what
we've
we got here?
2 units of Death Shroud Terminators protecting a Lord Sorcerer in Terminator armor and a Lord Contagion.
Very nice. And then we go back a little bit more.
So we've got a unit of Mythotic Light Haulers.
Yep.
And next to them, just a cheeky little squad of Nurglings.
There you go. Could be the game changer for you. And then
Yeah.
over behind here.
So over here we have some more drones. These are all Plague Spitters. Those are bloke drones. And then there is a Chaos Land Raider at the back there. Seems to have picked up a bit of undead.
Bit of stuff on the
death
front there.
Then squad of Plague Marines, a mixture of weapons. You'll see them in action.
And Plague Surgeon down there
And
as
there's
well.
a Plague Surgeon next to them.
Hiding in.
Then you've got just behind there the Demon Prince.
Yep.
He's got talons, and then we've got 3 Greater Blight Drones. Again, busting up models that we usually get to use.
Yeah, nice forge-ride models come out today. That's what I like to see.
And then the last 2 aspects of my force are 2 Plague Burst Crawlers.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Darryl. And that's Darryl's Nurgle contingent for the Great Host. Right, so now down to me. Right, so down, starting at the front here, we'll go for these 3 rhinos. So each one of these rhinos, we've got 1 squad of Plague Marines that are armed up with plasma guns, plasma pistols. So a squad of 5 in each of those. And also then we have 5 Legionnaires in each of those as well, so 3 squads of 5, which are armed pretty similar as well. Plasma pistol normally on the champion, a plasma gun in there, and combat weapons. We then have 10 Warp Talons over here in this squad. We've got 5 Warp Talons in this squad. We then go along here a little bit more, and we've got the Warlord for this army. So it's Korkid, the Terminator Lord with Lightning Claws. He's got a few relics, etc., which you get to in the game as they come out. We've got Dark Apostle there. We have got an Exalted Champion here. Like I said, all the war gear, all the relics, all the psychic powers will come as they are seen in the game. Just cut back a little bit of time here. We have a Sorcerer in Terminator armor. We've got 10 Cultists. It wouldn't be word bearers without Cultists. We've got 5 Possessed in this Lamb Raider here. We then come along, we've got 10 Rubric Marines with Warp Flamers in this Lamb Raider. We've got another squad of Legionnaires, so we've got a squad of 5 here in this Rhino. We've got 5 Terminators there with Accursed Weapons and Combi Bolts and a Reaper. We've got a Dark Apostle here. We've got a Demon Prince with an axe. We've got a Combat Leviathan over here. We've got 5 more Legionnaires, very similar to the others. armed with 2 obliterators there, 3 venom crawlers, a master of possession, and down here we've got 3 mauler fiends, 2 of which have tendrils, one's got magma cutters. We come back over and we have got the Sakaran. So that is the word bearer contingent. We then move on to the Chaos Knight. So this is part of our Titanic amount for our army. So we've got a combat knight here. We have got a knight there with the Avenger Gatler and rapid fire battle cannon. It's also got the missiles on top. This one has got the auto cannon on top. We then have the, I think it's the Desolator class with the big laser destroyer. We've got a Tyrant at the back there with a harpoon and flamer. We've got another knight here with the thermal spear. We've got 3 war dogs. I think they're the executioner ones now. And finally, to top the whole host off, we have got the Chaos Warhound with the double plasma blast guns. So that, my friends, is 20,000 points of chaos and looking rather spectacular. We're going to see what we can do against the followers of the False Emperor, maybe enlighten them a little bit, but let's have a look at the deployments.
And welcome to the battlefield of Toadan Prime, and we are on the outskirts and inside a city here today, and we have a lot of fun planned for this Apocalypse game, which is 40,000 points, as you're probably fully aware of by now. And in front of you here is the board we will be playing on. So just going to quickly sweep over here as we go through the rules for the game and objectives. So we have 9 objectives on the board, and they are spaced out fairly evenly, just to maximise points of conflict across this board, because there's going to be a lot of models on here, so we want to make sure we can get them moving around a bit and not focus too much in particular areas. So as you can see here, we're on the outskirts of the city here. We have 3 objectives across the bottom of the board here. We have one there, one in the middle of course, and one on this side. And likewise, as we step over to this next section, we have one sitting in the middle here, and we also have one just sitting in front of this statue, and there's another one in this ruin over here. And then finally we have another one hanging out in this ruin, another one on this central kind of T-junction, and over here in this pumping house kind of ruin. So scores wise, if you're holding your own ones, they are worth 1 victory point each, and in the middle they're going to be worth 2 victory points, and if you're holding your enemy one, they'll be worth 2 as well. We also have some sub-objectives for HQ kills, so every HQ that is killed will result in a victory point for your team, and if they are also the Warlord, that'll be another 2 victory points on top of that, so 3 in total. There's just a couple of other things to note. We all started off with 54 CP, however that is not what we have at the beginning of the game, because we have to take off all of our upgrades, etc. The only exception to that was that the Warlord of each army, so each player picked a Warlord army, their upgrades were all free, just to keep that kind of easy to manage. And other than that, everything else had to be paid for. So we don't know which sides everyone's going on just yet, but we'll be right back in a minute once the board is fully populated and deployed. Alright, we are back and we have deployed this monstrosity of a massive game. So Imperials are on this side over here, and Chaos Forces are on this side of the table. So we're just going to quickly go through a little bit of, just so you can have a sort of look at the general layout. It's a pretty mixed force of Templars and Ultramarines as we start off on this side. Roll over the top Titan, taking up the back line here. And little Storm Town snuck in there with some other Ultramarine dreadnoughts hiding up in this front line, ready to push forward. As we can have a look at what the Titan can see here. We've got quite a few adversaries on that side of the board. Templars have taken up residence here with Hellbrecht, ready to move forward with the line, following the Spartan up. I would love to have got their help in the Spartan, but you know, that's unfortunately can't do that. As we roll around to this side over here, we can see that the ruins have been taken up with a split force of Ultramarines and Black Templars fighting close together over here, and obviously some of the larger Space Marine tanks on the back line. But as we hit the right hand side of the board, the Space Wolves have taken up position here, sticking pretty close to themselves. I think they are wanting to roll together as the pack does. And as we move over to the Chaos side of the board, past no man's land. We have an absolute wall of steel on this side with the Forge Fiends and Wall of Fiends taking up centre stage for this side of the board. Got a few little backup units at the back here, so we've got some of the Death Guard and Word Bearers, and a little smattering of World Eaters as well. So Defiler taking up position on this back road, ready to move in. And then we finally come across, obviously we've got some Thousand Suns join the party as well. Rolling on further across we go here, we've got some more Death Guard units. And then the back line here, got some of the Poxwalkers taking up the back line. Just to hold them there, we've got some Raptors and some Obliterators hiding in the ruins. I've got a Lord of Skulls who's ready to move forward, obviously for the Blood God, with some Berserkers, and I believe more Berserkers in the Rhinos. I think all the Rhinos for the World Eaters have squads of Berserkers in it. Thousand Suns have taken up a tactical position up here with the War Dogs, obviously holding the platform ready for some landings. We've got a Beast back here as well from Zinch, along with some Occult Terminators, and then the Plague Bearers. We just marched on the back here, obviously a little bit slower than the rest of the force, backing up the Titan, who is taking up this right hand flank, pretty much opposite the other Titan. This is his perspective, so as you can see, just over the top there. And then Mortarion has perched himself inside a bastion. He did fit, so he sits. And then we now roll over just around this side, and as you can see, we now have the Night contingent that has taken up a lot of this side of the board, with some Land Raiders and a couple of buddy Leviathans down here. Thousand Suns and Word Bearers working together. Yeah, and also some Blight drones hiding in there as well. So that is the deployment laid out. Obviously, you'll now have to decide which one of these forces will be taking the first turn. Okay, so the teams are gathered. I am rolling for the Imperial side, and Vicky is rolling for the Chaos side. So highest roll goes first. No pressure. Here we go. Right. So that'll be a 3 for the Imperials, and a 5 for Chaos. I'm just going to come up here. There is a lot of cheering from Matt, who's is not happy because he's on the Imperial side. But I think everyone was waiting on that roll. That was quite funny. But anyway, so obviously what we're going to try and do while we film this is we don't want to film too long of segments, but we'll be right back. We're going to do some movement, give you a little recap on that, and then we'll go see how we go. So we'll be right back in a minute after Chaos, turn 1 movement.
Turn 1 movement for the forces of Chaos, and as expected, a general advance across the board. So we'll start right down here. We've got the 2 Leviathans, the Smash Brothers, the Thousand Suns and the Word Bearer Combat Leviathans are pushed up, slowly heading towards the Black Templars and the Ultramarines over here. The Land Raiders also have moved up here. Chaos Knight has come out from behind the bastion here. The other 2 Chaos Knights flanking Mortarion, with the drones there as well, moving up to this centre objective here. Titan has remained stationary for now. Yay! A lot of stuff has remained still up on these fire points because they are more for shooting than anything else. The World Eaters have moved up here. Killed our cultist off and damaged the Lord of Skulls as he came up here. Berserkers and the World Eaters have claimed that centre objective at the moment. Warp Talons have moved up in here. The Poxwalkers at the back are just moving out, filling out the backfield. Demon Princes have jumped forwards with the advance, with the Death Guard and the World Eaters and Word Bearers there. Across here, a major advance of the Demon Engines, charging towards the Space Wolf position. Dave's Wall of Iron remains behind the ruins there, and ready to put some fire into the Word Bearers and the Thousand Suns. So a massive advance for the Chaos Forces. Now let's see what they can do in Psychic and Shooting, turn 1. Turn 1, Psychic and Shooting for the forces of Chaos. Now over here on the Psychic front, not much happened, unfortunately. But we did have the Vortex piece. It chucked across the battlefield and is now inches away. So potentially we could get a first turn charge with this beast over here. As for shooting down here, we've had the forces firing off here. So we had the Land Raider here firing off back into the Vindicator Destroyer, destroying that, not exploding it, unfortunately. So that did a fair bit. We also had the Knight here firing off, doing quite a lot of damage to this Leviathan down here, taking that down to 4. This Leviathan has also taken a bit of a hit, so that's on 8 wounds. That was hit by the thermal lance over here. The Titan, however, supercharged its plasmas, doing it 2 mortal wounds to itself, but then firing across the battlefield, boop, 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 into the Falchion down here, dealing 15 wounds. It wasn't alone, however, because we did have other forces firing in here. So we had the Knights there, the War Dogs here, the Lord of Skulls fired into that as well. No, Lord of Skulls fired it down here into the Spartan. So that has now gone as well. That took damage from all sorts of fire, from the Thousand Suns up here, also to Venom Crawler down there. We had just fire coming in from every point here. So the World Eaters have claimed that objective down here. Psychic wise, we did a few mortal wounds, not as much as we'd hoped. So we killed a few Space Wolves down here. A couple more fell down here, down on this one here. The Demon engines down here don't actually have that much firepower. It's more combat based. So there was Havoc launchers getting fired off by the Rhinos, Combi bolters being fired off down here. We had the Haulers down here firing everything they had, as well as some mortar support from the rest of the Death Guard down into here, causing taking it down to 4 wounds, sorry. So that's quite a lot going on. Karan down here as well, fired its shots across the battlefield here, wounding this Dreadnought. However, I still believe it's like pretty much full combat efficiency there. And that is it for the shooting phase. So we did take out a couple, took out 1 super heavy and a few nasty little units. We'll see what the Imperial forces can do as they strike back in their turn 1. Turn 1 assault for the forces of chaos. So I jumped the gun a little bit. So we did have some assault. So the Vortex beast charged in here, ripping apart 1 neophyte. The Templars then fought back and did 4 wounds to the Vortex beast, but it's kind of tied them up potentially, because you know how Black Templars don't like falling back. And one other bit of combat over here, we had the Plague Tractors, the old haulers, charging in, killing off 1 Space Wolf here, but then just pushing closer to the Imperial lines there. So we have now breached Imperial lines. Let's just keep that in mind, see if the Imperial can breach the Chaos lines. Anyway, let's move on to turn 1 for the Imperium.
Okay, so the carnage of the chaos turn 1 is over. We're now moving on to Imperium turn 1, and we're at the end of the movement phase. So let's have a look at what the forces of the various Space Marine factions have done. Over here we have a Stormtan zoomed up over here, flying low. It's probably going to be a suicide run for him. Alongside him, his brother in the other cockpit there. I imagine they're sort of doing the thumbs up across the way there as they go into their charge. We've got some of the Outriders and Bikers who have turbo boosted across the front line, heading towards this central location because they sense there's going to be a few Berserkers turn up for a party in the middle. We've had all the Ultramarine Dreadnoughts have made a nice advance forward. There's a little bit of Healy shenanigans going on with the Tech Marine down there, getting them all back up to spec, and also there's actually quite a few chaplains down there. So we've got Grimoldus, we've got another Ultramarine chaplain there who have all done various buffs on the units. With the bikes having moved out, it's left space for the 2 squads of Eradicators here to start to train their targets on this left-hand side of the board of armour. The Titan is elected to stay still because it's got fairly target-rich environment in front of it. However, over here we've had a general move forward from the Templars down this middle of this kind of crate storage, with Helbrecht in the middle, G'ing the troops on in through this gap here, obviously heading towards this beast. However, I think the Crusader squad feels confident in taking it down. So we'll see how they do. As we move over to this side, we've got some more Marines heading up around this corner here, backing up the Dreadnought in the ruin. We've had the Vindicator move forward with the Impulsor. The Redemptor has taken up a corner in the ruin alongside his Ultramarine brothers, backed up by an Intercessor squad. Couple more of the larger vehicles here. However, the slightly damaged Falchion is ready to go. However, we have put Power of the Machine Spirit, Matt. Yeah, so he is acting at full wounds for this turn. Hopefully going to lay some damage down in return. This is kind of spaced out, but here we've had quite a move forward to try and protect from this Nurgle infestation we've got coming down this middle lane. And then finally over here, the Wolves have lined up their first selection of Dreadnoughts for the charge. Obviously, they have several lines of Dreadnoughts because they want to make sure they can deal with this horrendous amount of Mauler Fiends that have charged at them down this right flank, and also the walls the actual walls getting in on the action here, along with some of the other trooper units heading towards the Thousand Suns, and also the objective which is sitting down there. So yeah, that's pretty much the movement done. We've now got a little bit of psychic and probably a lot of shooting, and we'll be right back. All right, everyone, we are now on turn 1 shooting, and we have fired everything. And let's have a look at what the results of the Imperial side shooting was. So there was a Dreadnought down here for Leviathan. That did actually take up a fair amount of firepower from, I think the Eradicator squads here fired into it, along with this Dreadnought, and I believe also a couple of other Dreadnoughts here as well. But we finally did it in with the help of the Storm Town as well. We then moved on to the one behind it, and we didn't do any damage to it at all.
No.
After some very godly saves. Over here, you can obviously see the knight here is on 7 wounds.
Yep.
That was after a volley from the turbo destructor from the Titan.
Nothing.
Happened. Some saved all of them.
Yep.
But also there were some other shots from, I think the Falchion fired 8 las cannons at it as well, which I think took down a lot of the wounds with the help of the Eradicator squad down here as well.
Yep.
But that was pretty much it. This also fired, the Titan also fired at Lord of Skulls, which at the time was on 15 wounds, and Vicky did some very good saves for it again.
Yeah.
Lucky.
That was also in conjunction with the main cannon from the Falchion that fired here into it as well. So it's currently on 2 wounds.
Yep.
We desperately were around the battlefield finding every bolt gun we could fire at it, and still not enough, but obviously fair enough. In here, the Dreadnought also fired in with the Vindicator into that, contributed to its wounding. Darryl didn't do anything either. There was some pistol shots that went into the Beast, and actually is now taken 9 wounds. So he's getting there. We might have him down by the end of this one. However, as we shift over here, I'm going to need a bit of help on this side of the board, because I was involved with a couple of bits. I know I killed a Blight hauler there with my guys in there, but it was already wounded by, I presume, some fire from
Typhon put some
Typhon put some shots in. And then I think your Dreadnoughts did some work, did they, Dave?
Dreadnoughts and the Eradicators got rid of the T-Suns Maul of
Yep.
Fiend. Your Vindicator took out the
other Maul of Fiend, yeah, correct.
I think the Spartan took out Venom Crawler.
Venom Crawler died.
Spartan, so
And
yeah.
then we've wounded a bunch of stuff. Sikaran's down to 2.
As you can see, there's a lot of die
6.
smarts on things, because I think also the last Maul of Fiend exploded.
Yeah,
It
my
did
multiple
explode.
wounds, they just went straight through. No protection, unfortunately.
No protection. So, but yeah, that's pretty. I mean, it was not what we wanted entirely, because we did want to get rid of a couple of super heavies, and we didn't even get rid of one,
No, real shame.
which is very sad.
Yeah.
However, there's always combat. Not for the super heavies probably, but I think over here we've got some Dreadnoughts going on over here. So I guess we'll be right back in a minute with turn 1 combat for Imperial. Okay, we just hit the end of turn 1 combat, and down here we had the ongoing combat between the Beast and the Crusader squad. The Beast, I think it was even Stevens actually. It was 3 each, wasn't it, in the end? Yep, 3 wounds each. He killed 3 neophytes, and I took 3 wounds off. And then we kind of moved over to this kind of central location here, and I think this was this a stalemate in the end?
Yes.
Down the middle, so no one killed either. Just some wounds.
We did some wounds.
Just some wounds, but yeah, so nothing too much there. And then over here there was the charge of the Wolf and Dreadnoughts. Did they all make it in, Dave, or just the one?
Yeah, all 3 made it.
All made it, and you killed 2.
Killed the Venom Corner off.
The Venom Crawler off.
And took the Maul of Fiend down to 7.
7 I think
Yeah.
unfortunately you did lose one.
We lost one Wolf and
Wolf and
Dreadnought in
Dreadnought. That's
retaliation.
fine. Okay, but that was pretty light combat, to be fair. However, I think next turn it might start to get a bit more of a close line as the Berserkers close. We can hear the chainswords in the distance, even through the rhinos. In fact, I imagine they're like just cutting it open like a tin opener. But anyway, so that concludes turn 1 in its entirety. Scores wise, it is actually 1 for Chaos at the moment, which is 1 Titan kill. But I'm pretty sure that's going to change in a minute when we start doing the other objective scores soon. So we'll right back in a moment with Chaos turn 2.
turn to movement for the forces of chaos. So we'll start over here. I mean, the battlefield is looking particularly epic at the moment. We look down there, it's just chaos forces everywhere. Everyone runs out the way. So we're starting down here. We have got both of these land raiders are pushed up. We've now gone almost over halfway across the battlefield. The remaining Leviathan has moved up as well with the Chaos Knight. Nurgle forces are now all over this objective in the centre. Mortarion creeping forward slowly towards the Templar lines, backed up by a Knight and a Venom Crawler. Back here, the lesser forces, the demons and the weird subhumans are all over this objective. Down here, we've still got Tzeentch forces holding the rear there. Everyone remains stationary. The Lord of Skulls almost died. He was on 2 wounds to start the turn with. He regained 1 wound because of his demonic engine, and Khan took 2 wounds off of him. And the Warpsmith 1 wound?
1 wound.
So he's now on 2 wounds. Not looking good. Berserker's moving forward there, backed up by the Venom Crawler up in the centre there. We've got a Rhino that still have Berserkers on board. Demon Prince is coming down here. Mauler Thing down there. Generally, everyone's pushing up here. The cultist leader, formerly known as Shagger, is in the centre there. Unfortunately, Khan has befriended Shagger and his cultists, and slowly hacking his way through his retinue. And over here, once again, a big advance with the Rhinos. Rhinos just running through the middle here. Although some are damaged, they're just pushing up as quickly as they can before they're taken out by the Fellblade. Berserkers have deployed here and moving up towards the Wolves. The Thousand Suns Hellbrute is going to help the Chaos Rhino there. The Terminators came with the Relic and they zoomed across the battlefield and deployed over on this flank, hoping to deal some mortal wounds out, although all good plans can go horribly wrong. And just general advance across the board here, really. So we're going to see if the Chaos Forces have what it takes to inflict a lot more damage in the Psychic and Shooting phase, which is coming right up. End of turn 2, Psychic and Shooting for the Chaos Forces. So down here, the Assault Intercessors, which were holding this objective nobly, were brought down by these drones here, firing their gooey gunk all over them. And then the Leviathan fired its heavy flames, killing off the last remaining one. So that's now fallen into Chaos hands. Down here as well, this Knight fired off into the Eradicators down here, killing 2. Other fire didn't really do anything. However, it did fire its 3 missiles up into the Titan here, taking out the Void Shields, which were very handy, because then we had the Land Raider here and the Chaos Warhound firing everything they've got, overcharging everything, firing in, and have taken this Titan down to 6 wounds. Absolutely brutal. Down here, we had this Knight here firing off into one of the Ultramarine Leviathans, killing him off with his Relic laser destroyer. We had the War Dogs up here firing off down into the Impulsor. They're doing a bit of damage there. Heavy stubber fire firing into this flyer here. It was also joined by the Rubric Marines up here, just firing up, trying to do a bit of damage to this flyer because it's very irritating. Down here, a bit more fire going into different units. A couple of one of the bikes got killed by Mortarion. Mortarion did a bit of damage as well in the psychic phase. So he's handing out a bit of damage left, right and centre. Over here, however, there was a lot of psychic shenanigans going on. So one more Dreadnought has fallen. This one's down to 2 wounds down there. The Hounds were killed off by fire from the Venom Crawler and some bolters, so that's gone down as well. We had fire from here as well, because during the psychic phase, Araman killed off the squad that were engaged with the mowers there. They then fired up and have taken that Fellblade down to how many wounds?
It's down to 22.
Down to 22 wounds, so that's done some damage there. Also, the Falchion was killed as well. I believe the World Eaters finished that off.
Oh yeah, it was Scully.
Yeah, the Lord of Skulls. Vicky used a stratagem to get it back up to full wounds, back up to the profile of full wounds, and that's killed that off. Although I don't fancy the luck of the Lord of Skulls being on 2 wounds. I'm not sure how he's going to cope. And that is really it for the shooting phase. A lot of damage has been inflicted on the Imperial forces, but is this where the Imperium want themselves to be? We'll find out as we move into turn 2, Assault for Chaos. End of turn 2 assault for the forces of chaos. So starting over here, the squad of berserkers charged into the grey hunters there, or the assault intercessors. Assault intercessors, and then followed up into the vindicator. Vindicator didn't do anything back. Over here, the warp talons and the Maulithine charged in. They used a counterattack and did a bit of damage to the Maulithine. However, the Maulithine just smashed the remaining dreadnought there. So the Chaos forces on here have kind of been freed up to push forwards. However, I'm pretty sure the Space Wolves have another trick up their sleeve. Down here, the Thousand Suns Hellbrute came in and killed the 3 Space Wolves that were on that objective. The drones and the haulers have moved up here. The haulers charged into combat with the Eradicators, if you look down here. Didn't really do much. I think they killed 1 Eradicator, but it's pretty much stalemate there at the moment. Over here, bit of a fest going on. So the World Eater Demon Prince charged into the Assault Intercessors, killed 1. Just killed 1. I mean, that doesn't happen. But also to mirror that, the Death Guard Demon Prince, he also charged in and did nothing to Calgar, nothing at all.
But he did 1 wound when he took damage.
Oh yeah, okay, yes, he took 1 wound after the relic on the Demon Prince kind of pussed out after being wounded and hurt Calgar. But the Demon Prince suffered quite badly for that. How many wounds is he on at the moment?
He only took 2 damage.
Oh, okay, so he's not too bad. Okay, and down here, the Redemptor Dreadnought got charged by the Venom Crawler. Venom Crawler didn't really do much. I think he got 2 wounds. The Redemptor just smashed the Venom Crawler to pieces afterwards. Berserkers charged in there, did 2 wounds to the Vindicator. So the World Eater charge so far has not gone particularly to plan. Not as much damage this first fort. The Vortex Beast down here fought on valiantly. Unfortunately, not enough, and the Templars brought it down. The Venom Crawler did a couple of wounds. Did nothing in the fight back, but when the Vortex Beast blew up, he then killed a lot of people. Mortal wounds were handed out everywhere. The Chaos Knight charged into the Outrider squad there, and with Mortarion cleared them up. And finally, over here, we have the last Outrider squad here, and that is pretty much a bit of a stalemate. Not much has happened, a bit of a tough slog. A couple of wounds handed out there, a couple of wounds handed out there, not much. Unfortunately, the Leviathan, the Smash Brother Leviathan, failed his charge, and he's probably going to regret that in a moment. However, it was a pretty good turn for Chaos. We have scored 3 points at the beginning, and we're now on 3 Titanic kills. The Titan on the Imperial side has taken a bit of a hammering. The other super heavy Titanic units have also taken a bit of damage on the Imperial side. So the Imperium are going to do the noble thing and fight back against this tide of chaos, because this is what it's all about. We're going to move in now to turn 2 for the forces of the Imperium.
Okay, so we've hit turn 2 for the Imperium. We just finished our movement phase and obviously done some command phase stuff, which we'll go into where it comes up. So over this side, the Imperial forces, Ultramarines, Black Templars, have tried to make a concerted surge on this left-hand side, realising that there's still a fair amount to deal with over here, which is not a pleasant amount of vehicles to deal with, and plus what's inside them. I believe there's some possessed in here. So anyway, the Dreadnoughts have moved up with a couple of squads, and the Eradicators are all tooled up and ready to go. Grimoldus and his boys have done an advance and got themselves fairly up the field. He has put litanies on them, so he's got Father's Devotion and Divine Protection, and this chaplain got off Litany of Faith. As we swing to the centre part of the board here, the Bikers have moved up. They've got this multi-melter range of various targets, and also Helbrecht and this squad have moved normally up this way. He also puts the command on them, saying they had the reroll to hit. And outside of that, this squad advanced to get around this corner and out of this kind of trailer park back here, trying to get into the battle. We had some of the Ultramarines make a move down here, just so they could actually shoot at these berserkers, which are now out of combat. So basically, we pulled the Vindicator out, and we also, the Emperor Champion hopped out, and he's made a beeline to a couple of characters over here. I'm hoping it goes better for him than normal. We'll see.
Oh no.
We'll see. And the Blade Guard have remained inside the Impulsion and have pushed up towards the objective. So as we swing a bit further over, there's been a bit of movement towards the front of this ruin here, trying to obviously surround these demon princes, and also the Dreadnought has moved out to tackle these Blight Haulers, along with a couple of the Marine squads also taking position in that area. Dave, have you stayed fairly static over here?
Yeah, we've literally just moved forward a tiny little
Tiny bit.
because we've got a bit of a parking lot and we've ended in, so kind of fight our way out this
Yeah,
time.
and obviously the Berserkers have now been pulled out of combat because the Vindicator has reversed, just like the Eradicators also pulled themselves out of combat. So Araman, who look, I know he looks like he's up there, but he's actually in that bottom corner because we couldn't fit him in there, but he should be. And then other than that, yeah, that's I think these guys just moved up. Or
Yeah, just
they
moved
up.
like
So
force down.
but yeah, that's the movement. As usual, we'll be right back with some psychic and shooting. Turn 2 psychic and shooting is over for the Imperium, and quite a lot's happened in this turn, so bear with me. I'm actually going to come over to this side of the board first. So we had a lot of shots flying from, I think, some las cannons here, and this kind of into, what do we have? The Demon Princes.
Yeah, we had Sakaran,
yeah, which went.
Mauler Fiends, squad of
4 war talents.
4 warp talents.
Berserkers went.
That was mainly from, I presume, this lovely gun line we have here.
Yeah, from the bit of a gun line here. Yeah, and then the Ultramarine shot.
And then obviously as we progress over here, the Fellblade, the Cerberus, and the Titan, along with the 2 little supporting acts of the flyers at the back there, all shot into the Titan. They actually split the shields down, which was the bit that made us want to shoot it, obviously. And that worked. However, a little bit more nearer to home down here, there was a bit of carnage. Now, admittedly, this took pretty much the firepower of, I think, everything in this quadrant over here to actually sort out. So we're talking about the Sakaran, the Dreadnoughts here, and here, the all 9 Eradicators I think that we had left. The bikes that are left down here, and even Helbrick had a pop with his melter gun to take out a Knight and Mortarion. However, the Knight, I think, helped with the Mortarion thing because its explosion knocked out Mortarion as well, but then... Is it the other way around?
No. Matt took Mortarion down completely.
Oh, Matt took Mortarion down completely. However, the Knight and Mortarion both exploded, which ended up with various units here taking a lot of mortal wounds. So, that's pretty much the shooting done, unless anyone wants to add anything in here that I've missed, because it was quite a long shooting phase, I think everyone would agree. So we're going to head on into the assault phase, and let's see what happens. Turn 2, combat / assault for the Imperial side. Let's head on to this side of the board down here. We have a bit of a Dreadnought off here. I believe the Word Bearers one is on 6 wounds at the moment, as is this Dreadnought here is also on 6 wounds, because we obviously charged, then the Ultramarine Dreadnought had a good fight with him. However, Dom decided to spend a couple of command points to interrupt, and then did 6 points back.
Yeah, his Vengeance for Monarchy.
Vengeance for Monarchy, that was it, yeah. So he had some pretty cool hitting power. However, it ended in a kind of a stalemate, really, I suppose, in the end. So 6 wounds off a piece or whatever, and yeah, so cool. The Black Templar Leviathan charged into the Land Raider and pasted it down to 3 wounds. And unfortunately, that didn't do any damage back. As we roll over to this section of the board, we had the Chaplain on a bike charge into this drone here. I think it took a wound off in the end, but nothing too serious. Likewise, there was a 1 wound off a piece here between these 2. And as we kind of rolled over to this side of the board, we had Helbrecht charge into the Venom Crawler and dispatch that fairly swiftly. In the centre here, the poor Berserkers did get absolutely surrounded and mauled by the squad of Assault Ancestors and the Redemptor. As we rolled into the middle here, the Emperor's Champion did make his charge into the Demon Prince. However, he didn't actually kill him. He did have to rely on the help of some aggressors who had to finish off the final couple of wounds that he was remaining on, because Vicky actually rolled some very nice saves against the Emperor's Champion in the end, so that was pretty cool. As we move into here, the Dreadnought charged the Blighthauler there, but it ended in a kind of a stalemate. Nothing really actually happened there, and I believe there was a little fight down here, was there?
Yeah, the Blood Claws took out Araman.
Oh yes, the Blood Claws charged in to Araman, who's no longer down here. However, I think Dave used 3 command points to achieve this.
Yes.
The
only time I've got to use their
it's because it was a 1,000 soul specific strat, so he wanted to give it a go, and they did utterly pace Araman, to be fair. So, but I mean, fair enough. So anyway, that's basically the end of the assault phase. We're going to have a little interlude, so have a look around the battlefield, see what's going on, and we'll be right back with Chaos turn 3.
Turn free movement for the forces of chaos. So everything is now on the battlefield except for what's still mounted in tanks. So let's start over on this flank down here. So we have got another Chaos Knight that's wandered onto the battlefield. We've got some Nurglings up on this objective. We've got another great unclean one down here. We've got Be'lakor there, who's been joined by an awful lot of Terminators. So down here we've got some Word Bearer Terminators and Terminator characters. We've got some Red Butcher Terminators that have come down here. Lord Discordant and Warpsmith have moved forwards. I believe the Warpsmith's buffed the Defiler there. Khan is now broken from cover after killing another one of Shagger's squad. Down here we have got the Tyrant. So Tyrant's come up on this flank here. Hopefully you'll harpoon a Titan. It's what he's been waiting for years to get something worth killing. Across here as well, the Chaos Warhounds here have all buffed their autocannons, so they get extra on the wound, +1. Down here, Berserkers have poured from their rhinos. They're all over the place. Berserkers everywhere. We've got some Warp Talons have appeared as well. The Chaos Space Marines hold the ground there. The Rubric Thousand Sun Terminators have been joined by some Death Shrouds, and let's see what they can do here. But generally on this flank, actually, the Chaos Forces are pushed back a little bit because there's no point pushing forward into a gun line. They're not going to be able to cover the ground. We should be all right in that side here. And that is it. Just a good advance across the field. We're still holding ground. We've flanked out. We've kind of bulked out, hopefully preventing deep strike. So the Chaos Forces are ready. And hopefully we can have a bit of a comeback this turn. So let's move on to Psychic and Shooting. Turn 3 for the Forces of Chaos. Turn 3, Psychic and Shooting for the Forces of Chaos. So it was a pretty good turn for us in general. Psychic phase, we did a fair few smites. So of course we had Be'lakor and we had these other Psychers come in here. So we're taking this Chaplain down to 2 wounds. Maybe it's enough. Who knows? Down here in the shooting phase, not much really happened. A lot of the stuff is still held up in combat. However, the Tyrant back here killed 2 squads of Eradicators, killed the Dreadnought here, did a bit of damage to this Dreadnought over here, and so he's doing quite well for himself. Although it is worth noting that the Titan has finally gone. So I had a couple of smites coming in, down here from this little Herald, and over here from this Chaos Sorcerer, did some smites, and then with the Winds of Chaos coming in, did a couple more mortal wounds, and he finally fell. So he is gone, the Titan has fallen as well. Then we had this knight over here firing his relic weapon across the field into the Cerberus, and in total I think it did like 24 wounds. But that exploded and dealt mortal wounds to everybody. I think it killed the Apothecary. Yeah, shrapnel going everywhere. I think it did like 5 mortal wounds to Gilliman. There was just, everyone here has suffered quite badly from mortal wound damage here. So that was quite a nice boon for the Chaos Forces. Down here we had Combi Bolters firing off. We had Rubric Marines up there firing in here as well. We then had the War Dogs up here. They fired their autocannons, killed off a lieutenant down there, which is quite handy. We had Havoc launchers firing, Combi Bolters firing. We had the Defiler firing, everything we could down here into the Fellblade. And he's on 9 wounds now, so he's taken a bit of a pounding, but he is still standing. Down here we had the Scarab Cult Terminators, we had the Plague Marines and the Legionnaires, we had the Venom Crawler firing down into the Blood Claws down there, so they have now gone as well. So a pretty nasty turn for the Forces of Chaos against the Imperium. I think we're going to go into Assault now, and hopefully that'll be enough, and we can just push that advantage. Come on, Chaos! Turn 3 Assault for the Forces of Chaos, and it's been a pretty bloody one. So first off, we had a couple of charges that didn't go off, unfortunately. So we tried with the Tyrant over here going into these Ultramarines, unfortunately failed that. We tried with Bellicor as well, over here into Chaplain, failed that. Sorcerer over here tried as well and failed that. So there was a few fails, but overall a pretty good turn. So down here we had the Leviathan combat against the Land Raider, blew the Land Raider up and killed off 2 of the Possessed in the explosion. We had the Plague Marines charge into the Redemptor Dreadnought there and destroy that with the big axe and Power Fist. The Chaos Leviathan finally killed off the other Leviathan, but after taking a fair bit of damage. So he's only on 2 wounds now, so I don't fancy his chances. Over here, this drone did 1 wound to the biker. Chaplain suffered 1 wound against the drone there, and I think the drone took 1 damage back. Is that correct? We had a Death Shroud over here. Once they came in from Deep Strike, charged in, killing off 1 biker. They're taking a couple of wounds back, but still holding out there. Nice successes in the middle with the World Eaters. So the Red Butchers charged in with a Lord Discordant against a Blade Guard and butchered them. I don't think he even had a chance to fight back. No, so unfortunately they all fell. Khan charged into some Assault Intercessors, killed that squad off after fighting twice, but did take a couple of wounds, so he's on 2 wounds there. Shagger and his cultists charged in with the Rhino against the Vindicator and did nothing. Tom did target Shagger and his bunch, trying to some sort of vengeful attack. Didn't pay off though. Demon Prince charged in here. How many intercessors? 2 of the Marines died there. Over here, the Berserkers charged the Emperor's Champion, ripped him apart. The Warp Talons here charged the aggressors underneath there, and they also fell to a flurry of attacks. Except over here, not really much change. Pretty much that drone, I've had that Dreadnought killed off 1 of the haulers. But this has just remained exactly the same. Not much has happened there at all. I think we've forgotten Assault. I don't think much is going to happen. So Tom is going to roll this off camera, and then if anything changes, we'll find out in a moment. Right, so we've just resolved this. These kind of things get lost in this size game. But anyway, the Ironclad destroyed the drone, as you see there. It then exploded and dealt mortal wounds to everyone around it. So the Ironclad took a mortal wound. The Ultramarines back here took a mortal wounds. Even with our mortal wound protection, the Warp Talons there and the Rhino there. And that's about it. So let's move on to turn 3 for the Space Marines.
Okay, so now we are starting turn 3 for the Imperial side. We've obviously had most of our reinforcements turn up this turn, so in fact all of them have, because this is the last turn we can do it. We had some movement as well, so let's go through what's been going on. So with the death of the Land Raider, the Leviathan was able to move over to the left here to aim some guns at this. He's got some Possessed and various other plaguey-based things to shoot at. Grimoldus has run up. He's given this squad fires a devotion and also re-rolls to hit on everything. Back here we've had some Inceptors drop in, some Wolfen drop in, and this squad of Incest have moved back to just maybe tickle the knight into making a mistake, right? We've had some people move on to the objective here, so that's the Chaplain, the Tech Marine, and that other squad as well. The Infiltrators have moved to secure some ground to the right of the Bastion. Over here, the fight continues between the drone and the Chaplain. The Redemptor has moved up, of course, and also Helbrecht has commanded his last squad of Intercessors here to assault and charge, giving them re-rolls to hit with his command abilities. Back here, the Bikes remain in combat with the Death Shroud. Down here, the Terminators made an extremely risky teleport in. Dom did point out that it would have to be very precision, considering there was a tank rolling towards that area, whether he slammed the brakes on as he saw them materialise. Question. Then obviously more jump pack troops, more Inceptors dropped in, and some suppressors, some Wolfguard is the one I'm looking for. I've dropped in here as well, and also the Fellblade has also taken a bit of a move this way just to get some more. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to shoot at over there, so we'll see what happens. Along with the Spartan also changing his range of fire, he's got plenty of stuff down the lane, I'm pretty sure as well. Other than that, nothing else moved in the ruins down here, and then I think there's been a general move forward. Is that right, Dave?
Yeah, Thunderwolf Cav moved.
All
Terminators, Wolfen, Wolfguard.
Everything has decided to drop in over here and basically create a path for the Space Wolves to finally leave their keep.
Yes.
However, their keep has also moved forward. They are currently hunkered down behind the Dreadnought line. Plenty of stuff to shoot out for now, I'm pretty sure. So this side of the board could look quite different by the end of this turn, but it's still pretty packed on both sides. So that is the movement done. We're now going to head on to Psychic and Shooting for turn 3 for the Imperium. Turn 3 shooting for the Imperium, and I would say we've had a fairly successful turn this time. So just to start off on this left-hand side of the board again, I know I keep starting from here, but it's because this is where I'm standing. Down here we had the Crusader squad with Grimoldus here. They fired the melter gun into the remaining Wordbearer Leviathan and managed to take that out. We had the Leviathan here fire into the Possessed, he actually got 12 shots with his flamer, but it didn't actually manage to do too much damage. Most damage from that came from back here, from the Inceptors, Bolters, and various things that shot into them and managed to finish the Possessed off squad eventually. Over to the centre side of the board here, we had all the pistols from the, not Crusader squad, the Assault Incestors fire into the Red Butchers, along with I believe there was some fire from some of the plasmas here. Is that right? The suppress. No. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. It's right. It was into the Red Butchers, and we took them down to 2 remaining. There wasn't really too much other shooting that went on here, mainly because there's more assault going on over there, I think. As we move over to this side of the board, I know a lot of the las cannons, I think, fired down towards the Defiler over here, which is unfortunately no longer there. And I know I think the poor Warp Talons got rinsed by, I think, various shots from Inceptor plasmas, yeah.
And the
Berserkers.
And the Berserkers as well. We also had the Dreadnought there fire through the building. He didn't do anything. He wasn't really a contributing factor. And then finally, also just before we move from this area, we had the Fellblade fire. Lots of multiple shots into the War Dogs and the 2 War Dogs up there, and also the main cannon into the Knight at the back. Also, the 2 Storm Talons finished off the Zangors. However, one of them did split fire into one of the War Dogs that's no longer there, which was assisted obviously by the Fellblade finishing that off. Okay. Now, this side of the board, I was unfortunately a little bit preoccupied on the other side doing lots of rolling, so I'm going to have to hopefully let Dave to explain here what he destroyed or killed. So
yeah, we took out the Venom Crawler, the Demon Prince, what was left of the Warp Talon, the Great and Clean one, and then we just plinked a few wounds off
and that was
rubrics.
And that was mainly, I presume, the Dreadnoughts and the Eradicators?
Yeah, with the Dreadnoughts and the Eradicators. Okay. Didn't want to kill too much because I wanted charges next turn.
Kill too much. Jesus. But obviously that's in preparation for this particular line to move forward. There's a little bit of grumbling about how the Space Wolves have just decided to. It's like they've had a long dinner, and they finally left the drinking hall and went, "Oh, we better get out there on turn 3," which is a believable thing. But no, they are finally moving. They've hit the roadway, as we were saying a minute ago. So, but anyway, that is the end of turn 3 shooting. We've now got turn 3 assault for the Imperium. We'll be right back in a moment. Okay, here we are at the end of turn 3 assault and also the end of turn 3 battle round. Obviously just had the assault phase, has just gone on quite a while on this one, so just bear with us while we go through all the results of combat. Over here we had the remaining Crusader squad and Grimoldus make various charge over here. We managed to remove the Plague Marines from this side of the board. However, I'm not too sure about their next opponents who will be quite as willing to die as well. The Dreadnought did help out as well by taking out the majority of the Plague Marines in that one. Over here, the Knight has decided to get himself boxed in the corner over here. I don't know, it was his choice. I think the Wolfen might have chosen to do this. They did charge and they did, I think it was 15 wounds in the end, was it? Quite a bit to him. There's a few, I think, a couple of stratagems used there, Dave. Was that just to get it up to wounding on 2s? I think so. Pretty powerful stuff there from the Space Wolves. As we move over to this side of the board, you'll see there is now a missing chaplain. Unfortunately, the drone managed to kill him this turn. There is also quite a few missing in the middle of the board. The Red Butchers are sadly dead, along with the Lord Discordant. Hellbrick did go in there and not quite kill the Discordant, but then the Discordant interrupted and managed to kill him. So that was kind of basically a Warlord kill per side on that one. So nice there. The Assault Intercessors were able to finish off both the Red Butchers and the Lord Discordant afterwards, though. Sadly for Shagger over here, he took a couple of fists to the face and is no longer with us. And the Vindicator and the Rhino continue their door opening session on each other on their side of the tank with no effect on either side. So as we roll back to here, I think the aggressors made a nice little charge underneath the building here into the remaining. Or there's no. There's one. Is there still one left?
Yeah,
still?
one aggressor died.
One aggressor walked down. So there's a bit of a grudge match going on underneath there. Likewise over here with the Demon Prince, I think that's another kind of stalemate. I think nothing really happening either side there. There's an absolute pile up of troops here because it's all kind of got boxed in before we. Obviously the assault is the Terminators did try a cheeky charge over here. They needed 12, but they were nowhere near in the end. And then over to this side of the board where I think the Wolves have finally taken the leashes off. Did you say,
yes.
Dave?
Yeah, we broke out.
And what happened over here?
We took out what was left of the Legionnaire squad and the Plague Marines.
Plague Marines, yeah.
Yeah, we also took out the squad of Scarab Cult Terminators.
Okay.
The Terminators came in from the back. Obviously,
here.
Deep Strike, they made the charge and then
Nice.
took out the.
As far as I say,
drone.
there's a fair few missing Chaos units over here after they come out there.
Yeah,
But
we freed some space up this side.
however, I'm reliably informed by Dom that there's several units still inside. I think both these Rhinos.
There's plenty in those.
So there's still quite a lot to deal with coming out there. Does this Land Raider also have a little?
It has, yeah. It's
little
got
contingent?
10 warp flames in.
10. Ooh.
So, oof.
How's your fur? We'll see. We'll see if they get close enough. I'm sure they're going to be quite close by turn 5 at least. Anyway, however, that was quite a brutal turn. I think on both sides of turn 3. I think we both received and gave probably as good as we gave. I think in the end. So, but the centre of the board is looking pretty spaced out again. But also at the back end, it's starting to look pretty spacious as well. But with no more reserves to arrive, we're pretty much locked in over this. Sorry, Dom's looking at me like I've missed something. Go on.
No, I'm just, a bit preemptive.
Bit preemptive. Nothing else to come in. Sorry?
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, I see. Have you got a little trick up your sleeve, have you? Oh, well, we'll see what Dom's got up his sleeve then. So, but anyway, that concludes turn 3. So the battle round for turn 3 is over, and I'll be back in a second. I'm going to update the scores, and we'll do a little flyby of the battlefield. All right, so obviously at the end of turn 3, I thought I'd update everyone on the scores. We're currently sitting at Imperium on 23 and Chaos on 20. So we've still got 2 turns left to go. But before we go into that, let's have a look at the battlefield.
Turn 4 movement for the forces of chaos. Right, so over here, the Tyrant has regained a couple of wounds, putting him back on the top bracket. So he just stepped over those very pesky Space Marines and moved just over this way. The Great Unclean Ones moved up towards the Crusader squad there. The Knights are kind of holding hands and getting ready to do some double teaming on them. Bellacore now peering over this walkway onto the Space Marines below. The Knight over here has now just moved a little bit closer to that objective as the Land Raiders pushed off. Plague Bearers moving forwards as well. Chaos Terminators with the retinue there are moving up towards the Assault Intercessors. The Defiler here is being pumped up by the Warpsmith, is moving up into the centre there as well. Across here as well, as tanks just moved off. We've got a Rhino on the objective down there. We've got some Poxwalkers down there on the objective. The Obliterators, which have been hiding in the shadows, have now emerged. And now I've got some beads down the field as the Space Wolves have moved forwards. I don't have to do anything, to be honest. They never do. The Rubric Marines have now broken cover as well. And these Rubric Marines for the Word Bearers have now deployed. Across here as well, everyone has now jumped out of their transports. So there are Word Bearers ahoy. They are everywhere. We've got a Plague Marine squad that was disembarked. Not out of choice. There, we've got a Legionnaire squad there, a Legionnaire squad there, a Legionnaire squad there, a Plague Marine squad here, the Exalted Champion and 2 Dark Apostles back there. And that is our movement. So potentially we could do some damage. I mean, potentially. We'll see if the gods favour us. So let's move in to turn 4, Psychic and Shooting for the Forces of Chaos. Turn 4, Psychic and Shooting for the Forces of Chaos. So our Psychic phase, not a great deal happened, unfortunately. Lots of perils and things not going off. So we did a couple of smites, nothing too much over here. As I saw, the Knight jumped out of combat there, killing off 3 of the Intercessors, which were down here, which was enough. Because then that lowered the Lookout Sir, and the Knight over here then fired and took out the Chaplain and the Tech Marine, which scored us 2 more points on that one. We had this Knight here firing his melter gun into the back of the Leviathan there, so it's killed that Leviathan, which I now should be able to make a charge through here. This Knight, my personal model of the match, fired 3 shots over and took out the Fellblade. So I think it's at least the 2nd super heavy kill of this game, so he's done quite well for himself. Down here we had, also this Land Raider contributed a bit for that as well, so he did a bit of damage first to knock it down. These Terminators here killed off, I think, probably 5 or 6 of the Assault Intercessors. We had the Rubrics, and we had the Scarabocult Terminators up here as well, doing the same, as well as the Defiler. So that's knocked that squad down to 2, which is very good. War Dog didn't really do much, unfortunately. He's taking so much damage, he's almost of no use now, unfortunately. Down here, not so good on the shooting, although we've done a fair bit of damage. This Dreadnought's down onto 1. I've scraped the barrel, trying to find every gun I possibly could, and run out. So, yeah, we've left that standing. And these guys are all just been taking the hits like troopers. And that is it, really, for our shooting phase and Psychic. We're going to move into Assault, and hopefully we can do a little bit more damage. Turn 4, Assault for the Forces of Chaos. And if you look down the battlefield here, it's definitely thinned out a bit in the middle here. But we're going to start off down on this side. So the Knight Tyrant, known as the Herald, charged in here, killing off the 2 Marines which are holding this objective. So it's now denied the Imperium some home objectives, which will be very handy in the grand scheme of things. Down here, the Great Unclean One and the Knight charged into this Crusader squad, taking the squad down dramatically. So I think 12 died in that squad. Over here, Grimaldus fighting off against Be'lakor. Unfortunately, Grimaldus is still alive. A couple of his servitors have now died. Over towards the centre, this Dreadnought has finally fallen there. The Defiler charged into the Marines there, killing the 2 Marines off. 1 wound was actually inflicted to the Vindicator by the Rhino. So that fight is still going. The Berserkers charged over the ruins, assisting the Demon Prince, butchering the remaining Black Templars there. The fight under there, if we can see it, probably not. The Aggressor and the Warped Talon continues. Down here, the Malefic Lord charged into the Dreadnought and killed him. Death Shrouds have killed one of the...
2 Thunderwolves.
I killed 1.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we'll kill 1 Thunderwolf. The Legionnaires killed another. The Thunderwolves fought back, killed 5 Legionnaires. And that is it, I think, for Assault over here. So, yeah, it's still pretty bloody over here. The Space Wolves, have, like I said before, slowly marching out their fortress. And they will be coming out most probably in turn 4. So that is it for turn 4 for Chaos. A very bloody turn. A lot has happened. Now let's see what the Imperium can do in response.
Turn 4 movement for the Imperial forces. And let's have a look around the board this time. So down here we've had Grimaldus decided to come out of combat with Be'lakor to try and secure this area back here with some assistance of various things, but also to open up some shooting attacks in this area. The Crusaders are fighting on. The Wolfen have just moved up towards their current quarry, which is the Tyrant. Swinging over to this side of the board, the Outrider also backed out and has moved towards the defence line over here. And then this absolute cluster of Marines in here, the Terminators have moved up along with 2 squads of Inceptors. Is that right? Yeah, two squads in there. The Darryl decided to stay in his little hidey hole down there. You can't go very far anyway. We have a Predator with las cannons that's moved up into the ruins here to get some line of sights. And then the Spartan is now backing up the Terminators down this line here. I mean, there's actually quite a lot to deal with that because I know Dom got several squads out of those Rhinos last turn. So we'll see how that pans out. And then swifting over to this side, we had the... Oh, God. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't actually see what was going on around there. Just we've had a lot of the Wolf Guard jump out and jump in, yeah? Along with the Wolfen, Thunder Cavalry.
And a couple of characters that have come up.
Some characters have finally made it to the front line for the Specials. Sorry, Dave. And yeah, I think the Dreadnought's also taken a little step over to this area just over here.
Be able to shoot into the flame rings.
I've also moved up my Ironclad. Anything else of note, guys? I think that's pretty much everything. Oh, sorry, and the Stormhounds have moved over there behind the lines in that area. So that is turn 4 movement. We'll now head on to Psychic and Shooting in turn 4 for the Imperium. So now we have turn 4 Shooting and Psychic for the Imperium. And we have now finished, so let's have a look at where the shots rang out. However, there really isn't an awful lot here. We had a few things go down there. I think we had a Plague Marine squad die down here. Not quite sure what did that. I assume it was some combined fire from various Eradicators basically. And then as we kind of move this way, I know the Ironclad tried to flame some Legionnaires, but they soaked the damage up, so nothing happened there. The Flyers came around here and shot into the Infernal one. That one, Infernal Master, and that was cleared off. And then over here, I know there's some Terminators died here. That was mainly from the Plasma Inceptors. I think they lost a couple of their number. Lost one, did they? They lost one for overcharge shenanigans. The las cannons from over here shot into the War Dog, but it's only on 1 wound now. Still couldn't quite kill it though. So no. I know that Dom's Land Raider in particular held up rather well. It took, I think, 8 las cannons from the Spartan. And another 4 from the other Predator.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, so didn't take a single wound, did it? No. So there we go. T9. So they are T9 Land Raiders. Go get them, I suppose. Over here, there were a few pistol shots that went into the two big creatures here, but nothing actually happened. And Bellicor did lose 1 wound from the Derridio, which was basically the one thing that actually got through. So nothing too spectacular. And I believe 1 wound off the Tyrant. No. He saved it.
No, 1 went through.
1 went through, and that was from the Inceptors here. Yep. So, but yeah, that's. Oh, and the Defiler. Sorry, pardon me. That did take a little bit of fire, and it's currently down to 8 wounds. Yeah. So that was from the Suppressors, I think, wasn't it? In the end.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think the Suppressors. Brains are all getting a bit foggy. So we'll now roll on into turn 4 Assault for the Imperium, and let's see what happened. So now we have finished the assault phase in turn 4 for the Imperium. Let's zoom on to we started on this side of the map because this is actually where the majority of the combat actually happened. So I think in here you pretty much did you make all your charges, Dave, pretty much?
Made every charge, but I did get the litany off, which helped, and it was quite close to confined. We took care of the Lord of Contagion, the last remaining Death Shroud.
Yeah.
Dom will have to help me out. Was it a thing of rubrics?
No, they were Legionnaires, Plague Marines, other Legionnaires.
Yeah. So they basically they came and conquered.
Yeah, we cleared it out.
That's been fairly cleared out there, so that's been good. And then there was some sporadic combats. I think there was unfortunately a poor Berserker squad that was removed from play here by the Wolf Guard.
Yeah. Wolf Guard.
Sadly, in a little faux pas of ordering over here, the Wolfen got absolutely obliterated by the Tyrant in Overwatch. Down here, the bikes got wiped out by the Death Shrouds. And finally over here, there is one man standing, God knows how. I assume he's just got his fist stuck in the grandfather Nurgle's belly, so I just can't remove it and run away. Most of it was just lost to attrition, to be fair, because this lovely knight here adds an additional -1 to attrition test, so it was only 3s. Essentially died. I rolled a lot of 3s, so that's legit. The only other thing of vague note is the Terminators failed their charge, which they always do in Apocalypse games, as is their fate. So they couldn't quite get to the middle, sadly. However, that is the end of turn 4 in its entirety. So we're now going to roll on to turn 5 for Chaos.
Turn 5 movement for the Chaos Forces. So we started off on a relatively good note where we're actually holding a backfield objective here, the Imperial one, which is quite nice. Be'lakor has now jumped down to face off against Grimoldus in some sort of epic clash there. This knight has now freed himself up against a Crusader squad of 1. Knight here has moved up. Terminator HQs have fallen back to the Plague Bearers there. Knowing that they are susceptible to attempted assassination shots. Over here, everyone has pretty much remained stationary. We're going along here. The rubrics over here for the word bearers have moved up here. The rubrics for the Thousand Suns have remained stationary back there with their bolt guns. They don't really need to move anywhere. Dark Apostles are pushing up the centre there. Rhinos remain where it is. And that is pretty much it. Oh, and this Demon Prince has just flown across the battlefield, advancing away. And that Rhino there is just on that objective with all the other vehicles. So that is for our movement. Let's see what we can do in turn 5, Psychic and Shooting. Turn 5 for the Forces of Chaos. So down here we had the Tyrant who pretty much kind of spread his fire throughout, killed 2 of the guys up here. Squad of 3 infiltrators down there?
4.
4 infiltrators, killed 4 infiltrators. Also worth mentioning, he harpooned Grimoldus. So Grimoldus has gone. So he always said the harpoon's worth taking. Other good bits of firing went on here. So this knight split his fire towards the flyers, but he did fire his battle cannon down the battlefield into the Ultramarine Spartan, which you'll now notice is no longer there, because it then was fired upon by the Death Guard Land Raider down here, the other Word Bearer Land Raider, and then finished off with this guy here. So that's his 3rd super heavy kill today, which I'm rather proud of. Moving along the battlefield a little bit, we had fire coming in to this Vindicator, which is somehow still alive, just pitted with craters from just all sorts of firepower going on there. Moving over, we'll come over to the Space Wolves. Now, Space Wolves took a little bit of a bit of damage over here. However, they are pretty much still holding out. 1 Dreadnought's gone, some Thunder Wolves have gone here, but there's still a lot of stuff. There's got a Wolfen back here.
It's got a Wolfguard.
Wolfguard, yeah, so the Wolfguard got incinerated by the rubrics. Every other spare weapon we had over here, so we had the Obliterators up here, we had a couple of Rhinos firing in and did some damage on here. The Redemptor, that's gone. A lot of damage. We'll see if we can do anything else about it, but yeah, that's where we stand at the moment. So we're going to move into turn 5 Assault for the Forces of Chaos. Our last gambit, see if we can score any more points. Turn 5 Assault for the Chaos Forces. So over here, we just remained on the objective, but I thought we'd punt another one of these guys off the board edge. Be'lakor charged into the biker, so this board is pretty much completely chaos now, except for 3 models. Over here, the Defiler finally killed the Vindicator there, so Chaos is sitting on that objective quite happily at this point. Moving across the battlefield, this fight continued. 1 Dark Apostle went in and killed off 1 of the Thunder Wolves, taking everyone down to 2 wounds, and then was killed. And over here as well, the Wolf Lords, all their rerolls. So just got rerolls after rerolls with more rerolls. And took this Dark Apostle down to 3 wounds there. So that is pretty much what's happened there. Not much else. The Poxwalker's charged in, and yeah, that is it. So we're now moving into the final turn for the Space Marines. Currently, Chaos have a bit of a lead on the Imperial forces, so it'll be all down to them to see if they can bring it back at all.
All right, everyone, we've just hit end of turn 5 movement for the Imperium. There's been a lot of shuffling around here because we will be scoring our objective points at the end of this round, so we're trying to maximise what we can do, obviously. However, movement-wise, I think, did you come out of combat with him?
I did.
He came out of combat from the Tyrant because I think they want some Ultramarines left. Over here, all these jump troops have jumped over here to try and get towards this sorcerer. However, the Death Shrouds are doing some very good bodyguard work, I understand. So we'll see how that pans out. As we shift over to the centre of the board, the Terminators have finally got themselves out of the quagmire that was back here and up into the middle of the board, along with some supporting a Wolf, a Guard as well, 2 squads in there. Still got some Ultramarines hiding out, and got an aggressor hanging about, having a party in the ruin. As we move further over this way, I think both the Predators have moved around to get some shooting stations, possibly on Bellacore over there. We'll see how that rolls. And then over here, the 2 Eradicators have moved up behind the Terminator wall, along with the Ironclad, which is also just taken off to the left there to flank the Demon Prince. And I think over here, the Space Wolves have made a cheeky little dash up the board here with some advanced charge stuff going on, Dave, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they've both got advanced and charge.
Yeah.
So
to try and deal with this
objective.
back here. So if we get lucky, we'll see what happens. Other than that, I think we're all set. So, yeah, we're going to head on to Psychic and Shooting, turn 5 for the Imperium. Okay, we've finished the Psychic and Shooting phase. There wasn't too much of note here. The las cannons from the 2 Predators did fire at Bellacore, but he's just too hard to do any damage to. Yeah, too many lovely fancy shadow rules, which is fair enough. He's a very good character apparently. So as we move to the centre of the board, the Defiler has lost 2 wounds. That was from the boat down here. He's finally done some damage to something, which is good. Over here, the 2 flamers went into the Demon Prince, but didn't do anything. However, Dave did manage to get a fancy, very powerful smite off. I think it was a nice 11 roll in the end.
Yeah, super smite,
and destroyed the Dark Apostle.
Yep.
So that's it. So we're going to very swiftly head on into the assault phase, and let's see how this game ends up. Okay, Imperium have ended turn 5. The assault phase has ended, and we are now going to see where our gains are made. So first of all, down here, we had the Ultramarines, a couple of character charging, and they just about killed the Sorcerer, which was pretty cool. In the centre here, the Terminators did manage to secure the central ground by killing the Defiler off and getting on top of the objective. However, the Rhino managed to survive fairly unscathed. And then we roll over to this side of the board. The Demon Prince that was surrounded by Terminators did actually go down as well after getting... the Ironclad tried first but failed miserably. So the Terminators obviously did finish that off. And Dave, I didn't actually see what happened, Dave, here, but I assume you butchered the squad that was in the back here.
Yes, Chaplain went it took out the squad of the Legionnaires.
Okay. So obviously that meant we hold this, but we're not going to tell you what the score is just yet. We're adding it up, and we'll be right back in a moment with a recap for the end of the game. Okay, we have finished the game, and we have the final scores. It was Imperial 38 and Chaos 37. A 1-point swing, and it was very, very close game. It was very enjoyable overall. I hope everyone had a good time.
Good first experience.
Good first experience. So, obviously, as you can see, this is what is left of the battlefield. It is pretty sparse in most ways. However, I think Dom maybe's super heavy thing sort of held out quite well, didn't it?
Yeah,
still got
a lot of our heavies still on the board.
I would say they've definitely claimed this sliver of board on the end. There's an Ultramarine in a tower, sort of just going, yep, I'll be leaving soon. Other than that, I think over here this got pretty thinned out on both sides, to be fair, in the middle. And it ended up more of a back and forth over the centre points. Although over here, I believe the Space Wolves have claimed this kind of corner moving out this way, even getting over to that corner of the board. So impressive stuff. Dave's just having choked there, but it's fine. But that's the end of the game. Guys, would anyone like to comment on any favourite moments of the game?
even though I shouldn't, it was probably Matt's explosion and the amount of mortal wounds
Matt-
he did to
I would say the same.
So-
I would
so,
say
yeah.
the same.
I think I'm going to go with it as well, because even though it was so detrimental to us, that was when the Cerberus,
So many
the
fives.
Cerberus exploded
5s and 6s.
and absolutely obliterated our back line, and it was incredible. However, that credit of that, I think, Dom, goes to your
The night down there,
yeah.
killing 3 Titanic units in this game. I kind of painted him on a whim to get the points up. No regrets whatsoever.
No
with that
regrets.
guy.
You know, I was very impressed. That relic, it's a relic.
Relic on the laser, so it's 3 shots rather than 2.
3 shots with a
Yeah,
two.
it's.
Because I think you hit with all 3.
Every time, all 3 hit.
Very cool. You know, for me, I mean, a lot of my units kind of went into the meat grinder and got churned up very badly. But yeah, I had a good time. It was fun. Hellbrick got in and actually almost did something.
Yeah.
How was Bellicor for you, Darryl?
Bellicor was interesting. He's tough to kill. Very tough
Yeah.
to kill. I think my favourite moment I had to be when the Walkstorm chinked the final wound.
Ah, yes.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
the Titan kill from the literally on 3 wounds. Had a void shield back up, but that didn't matter
No, it went straight.
because it went straight through it,
Yeah.
and then
Crumpled.
however, luckily it did not explode, as did I think Dom's did not explode either, which
Yeah.
I think we were both very grateful for after witnessing the explosion over here. So it's Matt, yeah, I mean, how did you find everything? All good?
Yeah, no, it was,
Yeah.
Waves of chaos.
Waves of
Waves of chaos. Kept beating them back.
And Vicky, you haven't played in an Apocalypse game for a while, have you? So
Not
you
of Chaos.
So you had your World Eaters.
They done good. I enjoyed them.
I
The
know you
fighter
have.
was great, even though he's gone.
I think you
now.
have a Rhino and a Walk. Or
I've got
A couple of rhinos.
a couple
couple
of
of rhinos,
rhinos
a
left.
Warsmith.
I've got a
Yeah,
Terminator.
you had one of the
left
one of the smaller forces.
and a Warsmith.
but
Yeah, I only
no,
had 2,500 points.
yeah. But overall, I
Good.
hope everyone had good fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
good
was
challenge.
really good.
So I think we're done there, are we, guys? So
are
for another,
indeed.
we'll hopefully do another one next year if we get the time, obviously. So once again, everyone, thank you very much for watching. My name is Tom, and obviously my colleague over here, Dom. We're from Black Toe Studios, and everyone else here, thank you very much for making this possible, and we'll see you in the next one.